Welcome to the Wild Steampunk Podcast. I'm Jonathan Fessmeyer. This is my friend, Bonsart Bokel. I don't know where you live. Do you live in Germany?
No. I'm your neighbors. I'm from the Netherlands.
Okay, you're in that.
So we
awesome.
experience a yearly invasion of Germans when they try to take the beaches back.
Okay, okay. So Bonsart is from the Netherlands. So that I always when I hear Netherlands, I always think of that Friends episode where Joey and Chandler were both hitting on a girl, and Chandler says to Joey that she's from the Netherlands, and where'd you go? There you go. And Joey doesn't believe him because Neverland is a made-up place.
No, Belgium is the made-up place.
He thinks he meant Neverland.
Ah.
Oh, I lost your image again.
Yeah, I can still hear you though.
Okay, yeah, I can hear you too. Can you maybe try restarting your video?
Oh, right. Oh, let's see. Where does Skype leave everything? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so when that happens, yeah, Bonsart and I have been having some problems with the video, but I think hopefully for now it'll be okay. So he lives in the Netherlands. I live in Southern California, and we are both steampunks. And yeah, so I just figured we'd kind of talk shop today. I have Bonsart actually interviewed me recently on his Radio Retro Future channel, and we talked about my novel that I think we talked about it before it came out, and now it has come out.
Yeah.
And so we'll talk about that a little bit, but I want to know what projects he's up to, and I know he's got a lot going on. So what have you got going on?
Well, first of all, I've got the Radio Retro Future channel on YouTube. I'm also on VidMe, and I'm trying to find some other platforms to put my videos on. Radio Retro Future itself usually are interviews, but I'm not sure how much longer I'm gonna continue those because they don't have an audience really.
The interviews don't.
No, compared to for example, I have one of my other projects is the Steampunk Beginner's Guide. It has 4 videos now, and all of those have over the thousands views now. Yeah, I'm really proud of that.
Yeah.
But the interviews, well, they're lucky if they get a few dozen. So
yeah, it can be tough, and you're writing things that people are gonna really like. It's tough. It's almost like there's a resistance there.
Mm-hmm.
People have to reading new things. So yeah, that's what it feels like, and so yeah, I can see why that would happen. It's kind of a shame too, because even if they only get a few dozen views, that could help the people you're interviewing still to get a few more fans.
Yeah. Well, this week I had a guy from Poland, and he is working on a new video game, which is now on Kickstarter. Very
great.
Interesting interview. The game is called Artificer. It's a kind of it has the aesthetics of Don't Starve, but kind of the gameplay of a Factorio, which is it's not for me, but maybe Artificer will change that.
Okay.
So and soon I'll have some Steam keys for another game he made called Balthazar's Dream, which is a platformer with a dog. And next week I have Jamie Stegmaier on of Stonemaier Games, who's the creator of the Scythe board game, which has the art of Jacob Brozalski. And if you don't know who Jacob Brozalski is, it's a shame on you, because Jacob Brozalski's art is freaking awesome.
I will have to look him up.
Yes, a matter of fact, his art is so awesome. They're now also making a very promising-looking real-time strategy game based on his artwork. I forgot the name, but it's inspired by Dawn of War and Company of Heroes. So, and I happen to love, especially Dawn of War. So I hope it will be just like that. And it has the
I
art
hope
of
that.
Jacob Brzezowski, so that's awesome.
Yeah, I've played a few steampunk games on Steam, and actually some of my gameplays on this channel. So what have I played? SteamWorld Dig and SteamWorld Heist, and I think what's the show? Goblins Inc. I think that's what it's called, which is like
Oh.
it's a board game,
Hmm.
and you play in this like town of goblins, and you play. There are about a dozen different goblins you can play. There's like a thief and a banker and an inventor and these various types, and they each have special abilities. So that's fun. I haven't played that in a long time, but those are the few that I've actually played. I'm trying to get away from video games a bit more, and so I have more time to write because yeah, those can really eat up your time. But yeah,
Yeah, actually, I have to play them now because I'm working on. I've got a new series in the works.
yeah,
I decided to call it Steampunkish,
uh huh,
which is
oh yes, I
basically
saw, uh huh,
going to be a kind of a collection of steampunk-related media. I made my first video game review for it. That was Divinity Dragon Commander, and I last one was a board game review called O11 by Paulo Valerga. And right now, for my Patreons, I just posted the video game review of Rise of Legends, which I will explore in another video further because it's a really interesting world. And yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do next. I am working on a video game called Arcanum,
yeah,
but
that I've heard of.
that's a chore to get through. So its world is awesome, but the gameplay is eh.
Mm.
It was still made in the time that there were no walkthroughs and stuff like that, like old school
Oh yeah, yeah,
hardcore RPG type game where these games were to last forever. And yeah, I'm using cheats to get through it right now, so that's something I do want to talk about because it is very interesting as a steampunk concept. Yeah, and I'm thinking of doing at least an anime called Last Exile, which has a very special place in my heart. And yeah, I also have a number of other board games like Leviathans, but nobody heard of. Tannhauser is a forgotten classic right now, which I intend to review. So yeah, and yeah, whatever people suggest to me, I will have a look at in that series to make it a kind of collection of all kinds of things that are steampunk related, that inspired steampunks and all that good stuff.
yeah, for sure.
And yeah, that's something I'm focusing on more now. And also thinking of new episodes of the Steampunk Beginner's Guide, but I'm not sure what subject to do next. So there are a number of subjects. I want to do something on cyberpunk because it's poorly understood. I'm
Yeah,
thinking of doing something about steampunk characters, only I don't know what I'm going to focus on in that episode. Because, of course, there's the costuming, but for me, storytelling is very important. But I don't want it to become an exercise in writing, you know?
yeah,
Um, so those are a number of things I'm thinking about for the future. And yeah, something I also need to try to get more people involved in the writing because I want to do more fiction on my channel as well. And I already made a start with that in my O11 review where Odin shows up.
right.
Yeah, I don't
that's
know
good.
if you've seen that episode.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Yeah, so I intend to make him some kind of recurring character, or maybe replace him with an actual actor, and yeah, use him as a kind of a metaphor for remakes and stuff like that.
Uh huh.
Yeah, people complain about remakes, but yeah, he got remade into Santa Claus, so
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and in a sense, he's a character who has been used a lot in different. There are a lot of different versions of Odin, even in modern times. People using Norse mythology. You've got him in Marvel Comics and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and you've got him in American Gods,
Uh,
and I was gonna say Percy Jackson, but I don't know. I know that they did Zeus. I know they did Zeus. Second I was thinking Norse, but I think it was at least the movie was Greek. But
I'm not familiar with Percy. I know it exists.
I saw the first.
But-
I saw the first movie. It was good. So yeah. So apparently the movie series kind of fell off, but I think the books are still doing well. I haven't actually read them though. But
I
yeah.
vaguely remember something about the books being way better than the movie.
That's usually the case. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you? I have not seen it yet, but have you seen the Dark Tower movie?
No, I have not. But the thing is, I'm not so much of a movie viewer, and the Ghost in the Shell movie is the first movie I've seen in the cinema for years.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just not that into movies, you know.
Have you?
You know, but it really is something I need to start with, and then I'll watch it. But
Yeah.
yeah, I'm more into video games and active things, and I'm always working on my own videos, so that
Yeah.
also kind of got in there.
Right.
So yeah, it's something I should do more, but I don't know. I'm more interested in how people interact with such media. Like I watch a lot of analysis videos on YouTube on video games and movies, and watch the fallout. Like for example, the disastrous Ghostbusters movie.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I haven't seen the movie, but I think the fallout of it is hilarious.
Yeah. We were talking about the Drunken Peasants earlier. Paul and TJ from the Drunken Peasants did a thing where they watched it, and so it was basically like you were watching it with them. So you were watching their commentary on it as they watched it for the first time, and it's just the jokes weren't good, and the CGI didn't look great, and I mean they could have. If they had wanted to do female Ghostbusters, that's fine. They could have done a great job with it, but they just didn't do it well. I mean, I think what might have worked is have it be they could have done something like had it be within the same universe, because basically it was a reboot.
Yeah.
Only they were women. So have it be in the same universe, and a few of at least a few of the couple of the women or something are the daughters of the original Ghostbusters, and they've taken over, and it just happens to be a girl team now that's taken over the business.
Yeah. What I saw of it looked like a 2 hour long Saturday Night sketch, and I don't like Saturday Night, so
yeah,
it's not for me. But the problem, what Sony did, I mean, they poisoned the well even before the movie came out by saying, "Oh, if you don't like this movie, you're this and you're that."
Right, they did, yeah.
And they went really far with it, because they saw that people didn't like what they saw in the trailers.
Yeah.
I didn't like the trailer either. It left me completely like,
right.
Is this
so
it?
they decided that all those people must be sexist.
Yeah. No, that was the defense, right? And then it became a whole moral thing, and everything became about morality. And I think that's the current problem with media. Like, here's the thing. Here's the thing with all these reboots. Like they say they wanna be for diversity and feminism and all that stuff, but the thing is they don't trust their own creations. So they
Yeah.
say, well, if you that's why they reboot. They're not gonna make a whole new movie. No, they must make a Ghostbusters movie with an all female cast,
Yeah.
because they don't even dare to touch a movie that's just women or whatever. And so they do that, and people are like, why? Why do you have to remake some? Why don't you make original stuff?
Yeah.
And as a response to that criticism, they're like, oh, you're this or you're that or whatever thing that's politically incorrect at that point in time. And yeah, everything becomes about morality rather than something
Yeah.
that we actually want to see.
Well, and this year um, the box office take, or whatever you call it, a lot fewer people have been going out to movies this year. This summer was like a big slump for the movie industry, and there are probably a lot of reasons for that. But I think there's definitely sequel fatigue
Oh yeah.
and even reboot, and in some cases reboot fatigue.
Hmm.
So it's like, oh, okay, there's another movie in this franchise. It's not something new. It's not, um, and we've seen enough of this, and some sequels don't have to be bad, and then there are like movie universes, like the Marvel universe, the DC
Hmm.
universe. I guess is doing better now that with did better, a lot better with Wonder Woman, which is good because I love the DC characters and I want it to do well. Um, but then there are other movies that they're like on the fourth or fifth movie of the franchise, and it's like like with Transformers. I mean, the last people, so many people didn't like the last few movies, and they're still making them. But I guess a lot of people go to see them. But I don't know, maybe not as many this year. I haven't checked on that specifically, but with
Yeah,
the
but,
lower box
the
office
thing
turnout.
with going to movies, like for many people, it's like a tradition.
Yeah,
A tradition, like every time there's a Transformers movie, we go there. Every time there's a Star Wars movie, we go together.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, but when that social thing falls away because you lose contact or people move away, um, yeah, they don't go see all those sequels anymore.
yeah,
And parents will maybe take the children because the children want to see Transformers, stuff like that. Then those children grow up and the parents don't go anymore
yeah.
because it's not made for
They
them.
weren't into it in the first place.
Yeah, and something interesting. I happened to watch a video of Comic Book Girl 18, I think her YouTube channel is, and
Okay.
she talked about like there was this big controversy about something that the Marvel spokesman said about our comics are doing poor because diversity. I wish he would have said the ideology
Ideology, yeah.
of diversity.
Uh-huh.
Because there's most certainly a ideology of diversity going on currently at Marvel, especially when you see what many of these creators say on Twitter and how all their haters are racist and stuff like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
But the truth about it is that the diversity is not necessarily the problem. It's the reason why these diversity characters were introduced to begin with, and it was issue number one. Issue number one. New event comic. New event comic.
Uh-huh.
Because everybody buys the first issue
Right.
just to see if they like the new series. But that they have done it so often these last few years, people are not falling for it anymore. They're like, oh, another reboot in like 6 months.
Yeah.
You know,
That's true.
And there's also the issue of new readers. Yeah, they're not gonna buy that stuff, and the old comic book readers, they feel alienated because these comic book creators hate them because they're, well, whatever, call them racist, call them whatever you want, Then these fans are like, okay, well, if you don't care about us, we don't care about you. I'm gonna take my business elsewhere.
I mean,
I'm gonna see what Image Comics is doing. I'm gonna see
Yeah.
what other comic book companies are doing. And yeah, that's how Marvel has been by treating. And well, we've seen this so much in the video game industry with Gamergate, for example, where the industry starts hating on their own fan base.
Yeah.
And then surprised they're not doing as well anymore. It's
Right.
your
And a lot
problem.
of it is for ridiculous reasons
Yeah.
too, and like people seeing sexism where it actually doesn't exist. You know.
No, I
know,
don't
the-
want to delve into that topic too much. But for in the end, it's money. In the end, it's money. It's because there are these people, these marketeers that tell these companies, oh yeah, well if you do this, this is what sells. Because most of your clients are liberals, and this is what liberals like. And then they find out that this isn't what their fans want.
Yeah.
And now, and yeah, we're already noticing a certain backlash against this. But this is where I really wanted to go. This is a golden opportunity for things like Steampunk, for new media, and because I was thinking, why is Steampunk popular now? Like I just did Rise of Nations,
Huh.
and Rise of Nations, Rise of Legends. Important difference. And why did that flop at the time? Because I don't know if you're familiar with that game. Oh, it's great. I'll show you
What is
my
it,
review.
Rise of Nations or Rise of Legends?
The series is called Rise of Nations,
Okay.
but the sequel is called Rise of Legends. But if you look for Rise of Legends, you'll probably already find it.
Okay. I see.
It's a real-time strategy game inspired by Rise of Nations. But
Got a 4.5 star rating on Steam.
yeah,
9 out of 10.
yeah, Rise of Nations. You can't actually buy Rise of Legends currently, unfortunately. But there is a petition going on for people that they will bring it back. Because the rights to the game have, well, I explained this in the video, by the way, but the rights have changed hands a number of times, and yeah, they re-released Rise of Nations. They didn't re-release Rise of Legends, which is, I think, a superior title.
Okay.
And the art design is one of the reasons why. And it has this steampunk faction called Da Vinci. Vinci.
Uh-huh.
It's like Da Vinci inspired conquistadors,
Okay.
basically, and they're
wow.
freaking awesome. They have sky pirates, they have steam tanks, they have steam cannons,
sounds
they've got
awesome.
clockwork spiders and clockwork men. It's one of the most beautiful, worked out steampunk factions I've seen. Like I like, for example, the concept art of it was that MMO game called again. I forgot. And unfortunately, because it was an MMO, you can't play it anymore. It was made by a Dutch company, and you can find, when you look for Steampunk, you're bound to encounter that art, because it was awesome art.
Oh, okay.
I'll have to look it up. But Marauders, Iron Grip, that's what the game was called, Iron Grip, and they had a number
Iron
of
Grip.
them, like Iron Grip, Marauders, and when you look for Iron Grip, and you see the
There
image
it
like,
is.
oh, I've seen those images before. And they also have a kind of, they're also
yeah.
kind of like Da Vinci. They also have these diesel punk ships and all kinds of, it's awesome. They've got steampunk Vikings and everything. But Da Vinci are really, it was a really good game. And yeah, just watch the review. And there is a petition going to keep that going. But it was made in 2004, and I think, like, there are a lot of games still known from that period, like Dawn of War 1 is still played. Company of Heroes was made in that same period. Rise of Nations is still popular. There's still demand for that. That was, I think, 2002, 2003.
Okay.
So games from that period are still being played. But Rise of Nations, well, maybe because it was no longer released because the rights were changed in 2013, I think. But yeah, that game deserves to exist. Yeah, it's aged very well. It looks just frigging awesome. It looks better than Dawn of War. I think it looks more interesting than Company of Heroes. So yeah, I really hope they bring it back. I'll try to restart my camera.
Okay.
Yeah,
that does it. There we go.
There we go. So yeah, this is also the reason why I make Steampunk. So such forgotten titles will come back. Well, at least be remembered in some way. So
yeah,
if people have other steampunk-related titles that people don't know or have forgotten or deserve a place in history or steampunk history,
a bunch of these I didn't know about.
send it my way and I'll see if I can make a review of it.
All right.
But where I was going with this is that in 2004, I think the reason why Rise of Legends is forgotten now, forgotten classic, is that like you said, we now have like sequel fatigue, we have reboot fatigue, we have event fatigue, as the comic book girl called it. And the thing with steampunk, and I think this has helped steampunk immensely, because steampunk is not original, right? Steampunk is heavily inspired by current day pop culture. Put history and pop culture in a blender, you've got steampunk.
Yeah,
that's how I see it.
I lost you again.
Oh.
Your video.
If I... just a moment.
There we go.
Yeah. So, when pop culture changes, steampunk changes with it. That's why I think steampunk has remained so persistent. Mm-hmm. Because people can do steampunk whatever they want. And they take what they love, which stems from pop culture, and make it their own. So you get superheroes that are inspired by Batman, but they're different. People won't actually see it's Batman, but it is. Sure. Just with their whole own twist, so it becomes original. And that's what steampunks do. They take familiar pop culture tropes and turn it into something new.
Yeah.
So it's a reimagining without it being a reboot, without being a blatant ripoff. And I think this is something that steampunks can really exploit. Like, okay, you like Batman, you want to see a different... Wow. You want to see a different Batman? Sure, we can do that. Let's make it and let's give it a medieval backdrop. Because why not? And I think if people... because when I say, okay, for me, steampunk's pop culture in the past, and most people agree. At least I have no one ever disagreed with me on that. It's just that I think it still kind of has to sink in that steampunk gets their inspiration from that, and this is something we can do with steampunk. Steampunk can answer the problem of reboot and event and first issue fatigue that way by giving it a whole new twist. Of course, steampunk has that historical flavor thrown in, so that's something that, well, people will have to get used to. But I think that's the reason why Rise of Legends wasn't as popular. It was too forward-looking, so to speak. It was too ahead of its time. I think that's
yeah, that definitely happens.
So
yeah, and people aren't ready for things. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if steampunk can make use of what's going on now in media and pop culture at this point in time. That way. I don't know what your idea on that is.
I just totally blanked.
Okay. Well, let's see. You've basically done the same with Bodacious Greed.
Well, yeah, basically, okay, yeah.
I mean, that's RoboCop, right?
Well, I didn't base it on RoboCop, but I can see the similarity. Sure, it's yeah. I definitely didn't. He's not based on RoboCop, but but yeah, I do see the similarity now that you mention it. One thing I did do though is it takes place in the Old West. I'm from originally I am from Santa Cruz, California. I was born there. I lived most of my life in the county, and um, so I decided when I wrote the book to place it in an alternate version of California, but it's actually very close to, in a lot of ways, to the modern city. And so yeah, so that's sort of in a way taking, the modern and putting it in that blender and putting it in, and kind of changing it. It's a little bit, the city is a little more like as if, somebody waved a magic wand over Santa Cruz today, so that it kept all the, kept the streets and some of the attitudes and things like that, and flashed it into the to 1876.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and I do use a couple of historical figures in there. So yeah. Now the next book is going to take place um, in what do you call it? In mostly in San Francisco, and I'm actually researching San Francisco at that time now, and finding a lot of interesting characters and stuff. So that should be interesting, and it should be a little bit more true to what that city was like in the real world, with my own changes and things too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's something that I also noticed. I think for many of the people I interviewed who are writing books, they take local history as inspiration. Kind of think about it. It's kind of interesting. So you've got people putting pop culture tropes into their own local histories in a way.
Right. Yeah. Back to the RoboCop thing. Even though I didn't, there's a couple things I actually didn't intend there that happened. So I know that with RoboCop, he's supposed to be sort of a Christ figure.
Yeah, in a way.
And Creed is supposed to be in some ways as well. Originally, I named him Robert Creed. Robert is a family name in my family, but one of the other characters in the book is Rob Cantrell, who is actually based entirely on a real person, a friend of mine whose name is Rob Cantrell. When I did the Kickstarter, because I did a Kickstarter to get funding for the book and to kind of gauge the interest, things like that, and I wanted to see what it would be like to sort of allow people to kind of put their own input into it or give me ideas so that they could see their character names and concepts seen, come to life in the book. So he came to me and said, could I be in the book? Could you base a character completely on me? This bounty hunter character. And I, if I, donate this, back this certain amount. And I'm like, sure, that sounds, really cool. So I did, and it worked really well. But his name being Rob, I didn't want two main characters named Robert. So I changed Creed's name to James, and I didn't even realize it till much later that makes his initials JC.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just got a question from somebody. If the characters in the book are based on real people, who's the brothel madam based on?
She's completely original, and not all the characters are. Just Rob. There are people who I took qualities from different people, that to make the characters more realistic. Writers do that kind of thing. Anna isn't based on anybody. She's original. Jonathan Johns isn't based on anyone either, but his name came from my uncle was one of the backers, and he backed enough that he got to name a character. So he kind of came up with this character idea that became Johnny, and he actually thought, he wanted to name him JoJo at first, so that was a nickname that kind of changes. But My name's Jonathan. My uncle's name is John, so I named the character Jonathan Johns after both of us. So there's that. But yeah, like I said, Anna is completely original. There are a couple characters in the book though who are historical figures, and those are the Cooper brothers. William F. Cooper, who was mayor at the time in real life and is mayor in the book, and John Cooper, who was who ran their business, the Cooper. Was it called the Cooper Brothers Mercantile? So, and he runs it in the book as well. So I just kind of, got as much information about them as I could, so that I could create fictional versions of them.
Okay.
Yeah. Where'd you see the question?
On my own PM Facebook.
Oh, cool. Okay. I looked at the live
Yeah.
chat and it's not there, but that's that's.
Yeah, I was also checking live chat to see if anyone was watching, but I can see how many people are watching here.
Yeah. Yeah. So, there should be in the link right now, link to buy my book if you want to. You can also, is that correct? It should work. If not, you can look it up on Amazon. Bodacious Creed, a steampunk zombie western, which there's the cover right there.
Oh, yeah, I see it.
Yeah. So, sorry, my brain fart. And you can also read it on Kindle Unlimited. I've actually seen a lot of people have been doing that, which is kind of fun because you see the amount of pages people are reading. So if you have Kindle Unlimited, you can read it for free.
I read that the link works to buy the book.
Okay, good. Okay, good to know. So you were involved in I saw 1 or 2 episodes of it. You were involved in, and I can't remember the name of it off the top of my head.
Shards of a Broken Reality.
Yeah, show, yeah. And you had there was some Oz stuff in there.
Yeah, that's correct.
So how is that fitting into it? Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, Brian Oliver, the writer and the director of the show, basically inspired his story on The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
So, one of the main antagonists is the wizard, and he has created some henchmen. One of them, like the Copper Man, I think, the Lion, which we'll do an episode on. So we're preparing that. We're working on the script for our second episode, which will feature the lion, and the scarecrow. And I think he hasn't been revealed yet in the show. Yeah, that's basically it. And if you want to know more about it, I do have an interview with Brian Oliver for the people that are interested in the background. So.
Okay. There was the giant Toto in there. I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My character gets eaten by him.
Yeah.
Spoiler warning.
In the first episode, at the end of it, you get eaten by the giant Toto. Yeah. Mm-hmm. What are you going to be doing on the show now that your character's been eaten?
I play more characters on the show.
Okay.
As you can see, my other character was watching as it happened.
Okay.
Which is Dankert Lexicon. He's on the wall. He has 2 short cameos.
Okay.
And as a kind of foreshadowing, so to speak. And I'm gonna be playing Dankert Lexicon, which is my own original character.
Okay.
Which is also the presenter of the Steampunk Beginner's Guide, and also the voice I use. And what was the question again?
Oh, just if you could Well, I asked about. Well, yeah, what are you doing going to be doing on the show now that your character was killed off?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna be playing a different character, and
Right.
basically,
Okay.
which is something I'm really looking forward to because I want to do more with Dankert, and this is also another
Yeah.
exercise in finding out what he is like. So while we were working on a new script, it was already kind of fun. Okay, he will not be like this. He will not work for the wizard or something like this. He's just too narcissistic. So he'll try to profit of it out of all this misery in his own way
Right.
as a kind of third party. So he's going to be a kind of a neutral faction,
Okay.
a one-man faction
So-
in all of this.
Not really a good guy though. It sounds like.
No. Dankert Lexicon is a bit of a tragic figure, in that way. But yeah, he does not care, and in the situation where he's in, he cannot really care, because when a person dies, that person does not really die. It's just a character he'll encounter somewhere else again. So. That's his world. So he does not care about life in a way normal people would. He is yeah, and that makes him come across like a true narcissist,
Okay.
and a sociopath in a way. He's not the kind of guy that enjoys unnecessary violence, but he has no qualms with it either.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that's kind of his character, and we kind of had to incorporate that in the story of Oz, of the Tales of a Broken Reality, and yeah, depending on what I can manage to gather on people, like I also organize the whole thing because it's done with Ragtag, and I'm the driving force together with some other people behind that theme group. What started it off.
Okay.
So that's what Brian was really interested in, and later on I came like, well, we can incorporate Dankert. Originally he wanted to incorporate Dankert as an officer and kill him off, and I was like, no, that doesn't sound like Dankert.
Yeah.
What he's doing.
Yeah.
So yeah, I changed that to just another officer called Shark, and yeah, then we plugged Dankert in a different way, and I think that was the proper decision. So he will be one of the main characters in the next episode, but it's not going to be his episode, and then the third episode, which will be, as everything goes as planned, will be his own episode. Where he'll be the driving force behind the story.
Okay.
So I'm really looking forward to work toward that. We already have his motivation, and then it's just a matter of see where Brian wants to take the story, and then we can plug that, combine that.
Do you guys plan to address why the two characters look so similar? Because they're both played by you, or within the.
No, there are two completely different characters. We also made sure that people didn't really see Dankert up close in the first series, so there could be no confusion.
Yeah, I didn't even realize you were playing two characters. So.
Yeah, that was the intent. So, but Dankert will have his own look. He will be completely different.
Okay.
So. Like I wore the goggles intentionally as Shark. So yeah, and then he'll be a completely different character.
Okay.
Where Shark was a loyal officer, and that is absolutely only loyal to himself. So.
All right. So. So it's kind of like a Superman thing. So Shark wears goggles and Dankert doesn't wear goggles.
Mm-hmm. No, he has his mono. Dankert has his mono goggle, for which he's critically known for. I think at this time, unfortunately, it's also the only thing he's known for. But I hope to change that at one point.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have to make up all these things by myself. So it's yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking of maybe doing an audio drama um, for to flesh out his story more. Voice
Oh, that'd
acting
be
is
great.
something I enjoy. But I've just done 2 recordings for a Halloween thing where I made some PSAs for a mass evacuation.
Okay.
So I'm experimenting a lot with audio and voice changing and stuff like that, and voice acting. And
Yeah.
I'm also working on a video game project for Fallout 4. It's a mod called Old World Radio, and I managed to get a few dozen steampunk artists to allow us to use their music for this music station.
Oh, that's
And
great.
in between songs, I have my own character that is the DJ of that radio station with his absent service provider, who is a depressed robot.
Uh-huh.
And yeah, so that's something I'm working on as well,
Okay, that's
and
great.
I hope so. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I intend to release the link to my Patreons in the next few weeks, so they can listen to it. To the first, or no, not the first draft, but there are some other things to be done. It also has
Yeah.
some original music in it by Marco Ianello, by the Clockwork Opera, who has been so kind to help me with some background music.
Do
So
you
that will be there.
on your Patreon? Do you have what sort of rewards do you have for people? For
Right now, basically previews. But
okay.
unfortunately, most of my patrons are not that active. They just want to support me. But I'm working on somebody with on keychains with the current retro future logo
Oh, that's nice.
that Adam Badice helped me with. So only the man who's making it is currently moving. So he has to set up his workshop anew. But he said he would be back on me shortly. Yeah, and I'm working on contacting some other people for rewards, um, and some other sponsors as well. Because my some of my episodes have been syndicated for the Diesel Punk. I'm sorry, the Diesel Powered podcast as well.
Hmm.
But I don't get any ad revenue from that, so I'm trying to get some people to plug their product in for sponsorship. And if people have other things like I can do Fang Hangouts, if people are interested in doing that, and also they get access to my Discord.
That's nice.
And if
Yeah.
people want other things, please plug your ideas. I'm thinking of doing stickers, and I can also give away free Steam keys, but I think I'll do that for my Facebook page because I need more likes, so I
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
become applicable for review copies of video games and board games and stuff like that. Especially board games I want to do more of. Except I've done one now and it's a lot of work, or at least it was also a complicated game to explain. So maybe that was why it took so long to make, but yeah.
I think there's a steampunk version of, or steampunk expansion for the game Munchkin.
Oh yeah,
You know?
yeah, there is.
Yeah, that could be a good one to do.
No, I
That would
can
be
think about it. Right now, I have a couple of games laying around. Arkham Horror, Mansions of Madness,
Oh,
Leviathans. I really want to do.
yeah. Hmm.
That was a spectacular failure. Uh, Despite it being a good game, Dystopian Wars I have laying around. What else do I've got? Tannhauser, of course.
Hmm.
I really want to do that. So yeah, and of course Scythe. But unless people send me review copies, I think I'll stick to those because
Right.
games cost money. So
Yeah. So if you have more likes on your Facebook, that helps you to get companies to send you review
yeah,
copies of things. Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, you when you go to websites, and they have like a policy for reviewers,
Uh-huh.
and on Stonemeyer's website it says, yeah, well, if you've got like 500 likes on your page, I'm willing to do so, or 1,000 subscribers on
Okay.
your YouTube channel, stuff like that. And of course,
Okay.
you got to have experience with making
Yeah.
board game reviews. Uh,
I've
so
I mean I've seen places that have asked like what was it? So I some there's something recently that asked me about basically about my platform, like how many um, Twitter followers and various and newsletter subscribers and stuff I had. So, but I haven't actually seen anything specifically asking about Facebook followers. So that's interesting to me.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, maybe that's something he encountered during his career. I can ask him next week. I have him on, I think, next Tuesday. So how he
Yeah. Why
came
Facebook specifically?
came up with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I didn't know either, but it's not like I often visit game developers' websites that often, and probably I
Yeah.
should do so
That's a
more.
good point. So for whatever reason, that's important to him. All right.
Yeah, and
So
then I was, yeah, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, but you were. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. You were talking. Just I remembered one other thing I wanted to mention about Bodacious Creed, because you were talking about doing the audio drama stuff. So I'm getting an audiobook made of Bodacious Creed.
You told me,
The
yeah.
reader's great. Yeah, she's actually someone I know, and it's funny because she asked me about it. Um, are you going to be who's doing the audio version of your book? And I'm like, I don't have the money to pay anybody to do an audio version. And then I found out that Audible has a thing where you can um, offer to just split royalties with the reader. So
Mm,
so she'll get 50% of the audiobook royalties, and I'll get 50%,
mm,
and you don't pay out of pocket. Um, I thought it was kind of amazing. So basically, you put your book up there, um, and so at first I thought, well, I'll take a few, um, auditions as well, and make sure she auditions for. Let her know and make sure she auditions for it, and I got a few auditions that were good, but I liked hers best anyway. So I went with her, and I think she's finished the fourth chapter and is maybe doing a little editing on it. So I haven't heard from her yet. It'll take about 3 months. In about 3 months, so it should be out in time for Christmas. The audiobook book version.
mm-hmm.
So people who have
Okay.
been wanting to listen to it will be able to listen to it, and I'll set it up to where you can do the free thing, the free 1 month trial, and listen to the book.
Oh, awesome. Yeah.
So, but I'm excited about it. She's a great reader. She's doing great on the voices. This is something she does anyway. She's voice acting,
Mm-hmm.
and even though the the book is told from different various points of views. It shifts, um, different scenes or different people. Um, and even though James Creed is arguably the main character, Anna is also extremely important, and they're sort of co-main characters really more than anything. Um, and because of her part in the story, it made a lot of sense to me to have a woman read it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So yeah, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to us getting that done and out, and that's exciting. I recorded one of my books, uh, Children of Rotlan, one of my fantasy novels, many years ago for a site called Podiobooks.com. Where people can listen for free, and then if they want to, they can donate money. But I just think this is better going. I mean, things have changed, so that was kind of an experiment being done at the time. I think it's still up, but this is better. I think for sure it going up on Audible. So
Yeah.
that'll be pretty great. Yeah, I'm excited.
Uh,
Yeah.
Someone remarks, it sounds really Tarantino. to have the story told from the different point of view.
Yeah, it's really a lot. I mean, obviously, in a way, I thought about the story cinematically. So where you see what's going on with different characters, and there's a lot going on in the story, and it helps to be able to have these different viewpoints and to be able to see what's happening here, what is he up against that he doesn't know about, and then to see everything kind of clash. um, it's also kind of George R. R. Martin does that in Game of Thrones. Each chapter is told from a different viewpoint, and so you'll have, like in one book you'll have like 3 or 4 Arya chapters and 3 or 4 Jon chapters,
Yeah.
and stuff, and it switches between, so you see what's going on in different places. Um, and there are certain characters who are viewpoint characters. In mine, some of the bad guys are viewpoint characters, and it's mostly the good guy types, but some of the bad guys get viewpoint character scenes too, so you kind of see what nefarious things they're up to, and kind of what the main characters are going to face before they do. And I do that kind of, it helps to kind of raise the tension when something the main characters don't. So yeah, but a lot of writers do that too. But it's I think I've previously, my novels were all told from one viewpoint, and I wanted to do something different this time. And a lot of writers do, switch viewpoints. Generally, you do it. You have a scene that is all one. It's third person limited, so you're telling it in third person, but you're basically seeing and hearing what that character is seeing and hearing, and you're not outside the character, you're sort of inside the character. So, but so every as needed, I just switch to someone else's viewpoint. So
Yeah.
okay, I think I over explained that.
Can happen.
Yeah,
But it's your show, so.
Yeah, it's my show, so you can go on and on. Speaking of the show, I am, or maybe time to end it. I am getting hungry. I need to go get something to eat. I think we've been on a little over an hour.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, we talked about a lot of cool stuff.
Including technical difficulties, like 90 minutes or so.
Yeah, and I'll go ahead and I'm gonna go ahead and edit the stream. Probably not cut out anything from except for some of the beginning of the stream itself. Put in the intro and then have the show and put the ending on. So yeah, it was great talking to you again.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, we should do this again in the next
Sure, no
months
problem.
or something. Yeah. So everybody, check out Radio Retro Future when I get this up. After I've edited it, I will have Bonsart's link below. Send me whatever links you want me to put up on Facebook. Just send me a message.
No problem.
And I'll get all those in there, including your Facebook page. Hopefully, we can get you a few likes on there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you get some more games.
Would be nice. Yeah.
And I think what else? And I'll have my links on there too. So we'll have whatever anybody needs down below. So okay, yeah, it was great talking to you. So
Yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and
thank
end the
you for
stream.
having
We
me.
can talk for a few more minutes.
Okay.
All right. Hey everybody, if you enjoyed that video, a big thank you. Please go ahead and subscribe, like, share. I have a Patreon if you would like to help out with that. That link is below. Otherwise, if you'd like to read my book, my latest novel, Bodacious Creed, a steampunk zombie western, that link is below too. It's $3.99 for the Kindle edition and $13.95 in trade paperback, and I think you'll all enjoy it. Take care.